Hello, pursuers. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. I'm your podcast host, known as Kazimi. And if you're new here, welcome to the Pursuit of Happiness, where we break down reality TV, relationships, and real life psychology because honestly, it's never just about the show. Is it now? Let's get into Summer House. I have been dying to get into Summer House. And after I get into Summer House, I am finally caught up, you guys, in all my shows. Just a quick recap. I was traveling for a few weeks, so it was hard for me to watch anything. I was on the road. But now that I have been able to catch up on all my shows, I'm kind of just putting a bunch of episodes together all at once to try to recap. Let's get into just Summer House right away. I'm going to go episode 12. It starts off with Amanda is there for Ciara, saying she's seen and she's loved and she deserves so much more respect. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for, seeing her in that moment. Just like how in the audio leaks, you did say that you can't help who you love. Maybe in that moment, it's okay for West because he can't choose who he loves. But it was terrible doing it to another girl or for another girl doing it on Ciara. But when it was done to Ciara by you, Amanda, all of a sudden it becomes that we can't help who we love, right? I'm sorry. I just have to throw in that hindsight. Now, listen. I don't want to get off right off the bat and being like, I don't support Amanda. I actually was one of the first people that came out and said, listen, things happen and we got to just maintain that these are real people and this is their real mental health, etc., etc. Amanda was already having a tough season with her mental health. I know her and Ciara both were on antidepressants. And from me saying that, and it wasn't necessarily defending her actions, it was just saying that she's a human. I got a lot of backlash for that comment that I'd made. I was like, let's just remember that these are real humans. We don't need to go leave hateful comments. What Amanda did to Ciara was tough considering they came from a place of friendship, but it doesn't mean that people have to go leave hate comments, right? So even though right now I'm disagreeing with something that Amanda did, doesn't mean that we have to go leave hate comments on her social medias because it doesn't equate. She did something bad to her friend, but doesn't mean that she needs to go and be driven to a state of having to potentially kill herself, okay? So that's what I was trying to say. People were like, well, what she did to Ciara means that she is allowed to get all these hate comments. But you know what? Two wrongs don't make a right. That is the most bizarre stuff that I've ever heard. So if Ciara fans want to stoop down to that level and make Amanda's life that miserable, is there anyone really in the right here? We all know, look at Raquel and look at Sandoval and look at Ariana. We all know that they get into a place where they're okay. They move past it. They live. And now, again, some people are going to come at me and be like, well, then we can't send the hate comments, which is just bizarre, grown-ass women saying that they can send hate comments because they'll get over it. So let us just get it off our chest and make ourselves feel better and send her hate comments. You do you, boo. You do whatever you feel like you need to do. Okay? In this moment, when Amanda was talking to Ciara, I didn't like it. Because in hindsight, I know what I know now. But I really do try to take myself out of that hindsight and just kind of look at the situation at hand and pretend that I don't know the details of what I know in that situation. I think it's great that Amanda was there for Ciara. But maybe West, let's play devil's advocate. Maybe West really wasn't into it. So in that moment, he's not allowed to like somebody else. But when it comes to you, he's allowed to hurt Ciara. So see, I still agree what she did was shitty. Okay? And I hate to say that I can still kind of see, I try to be blind to the hindsight, but I can still see it. And unfortunately, I am one of those people that as much as I just bitched about it, I still reference it. These are the things that go through my head. This is how much of a Bravo fan I am, okay? Wes comes into Ciara's room the next day and apologizes to Ciara because this was after, this whole incident happened after random girl, sat on Wes's lap. And that's why Amanda was saying, you're seen, you're loved, you deserve better than that. I could kill West. And that's why I said, it's just so funny that, when West wants to be with somebody else, that girl is worthy of being killed by Amanda. But when West wants to be with Amanda, then that's okay. It's ironic. I know but I'm still not going to send her death threats. I'm just going to analyze the show, you guys, okay? I just had to reiterate that for the past 5 minutes because, again, I got not trampled on, but I got some, backlash for what I said. And people were like, well, why would you even want to support her? I'm not supporting. I'm just saying we don't need to push the person I don't want to say that word because I'll get banned on some platforms, but to self-harm. Okay. Anyways, West comes in Ciara's room the next day and apologizes to Ciara. West apologizing to Ciara actually does seem genuine. Looking back now, still seems genuine, but you could see that there's mixed signals. So I feel like where West is coming from is like, let's just be friends. I'm sorry that I hurt you. But then at the same time, like, why tell that girl where we heard on the mic being like, oh, I used to date that girl behind you, but who cares? Okay, so do you care or do you not care? Because I can get how not that you don't care, but I can get how it doesn't matter because you're not in a relationship with her anymore. But at the same time, it had to have rubbed you a certain way because you just had to mention it to the girl that was sitting on your lap in the first place because you knew it would be awkward. But why would it be awkward? Are you sending Ciara mixed signals? Are you making her think one thing when really you're actually your intention is something else? This is where I get a little bit, I blame the guy 1000%. Blame the friend because she betrayed her friend, essentially. She knew that her friend was in love with this guy. They weren't dating. No, they weren't. They weren't in a long-term relationship. But it is still a form of betrayal, especially from someone that you cried on about that guy, But I feel like Wes is the biggest mastermind here. And I'll get into it later because so many things up until this day has come out about him and it's disgusting. Ciara was there thinking that there's a chance and they could reconcile romantically, which is 100% why she started letting her guard down. Wes was looking to reconcile his friends. He wasn't looking for anything more, and it's obvious. The thing with Wes is that he's a flirt, and he flirts with his friends. That's just his, I don't even want to say love language. That's just how he communicates. He's a flirt. Ciara, having had feelings for Wes prior, and still some residual feelings are there, that won't work for her, because it's mixed signals, and on her end, there's still those types of feelings there. And typically, when it's a situation like this and one person has moved on and one hasn't, there just can be no friendship. Not in any time in the foreseeable future. There's just too much feelings there. Now, the medium that Mia saw, because Ciara had met her in Costa Rica, that was a pretty emotional scene. Mia's new to the cast, and aside from her kind of having an identity with Ciara and they show up together, and I know she talks a little bit more about her situation with her boyfriend and how, it's long-term, but they're not together a lot. It was just very emotional to see, especially like sometimes when I look at these medium or psychic or people that can speak to the afterlife, I kind of really have to sit there and be like, how much of who is coming on the show do they know? Like, do they Google? Like, I mean, there's some things were just bang on. And then, like, she knows Ciara, and I'm sure by the time she got home from her trip from Costa Rica and she had met Ciara, she obviously did some Googling. How many times? Let's go back to Beverly Hills. Sutton Googled. Jennifer Tilly Googles everybody. Hey, didn't they even chat GPT, Bose and everyone chat GPT's Amanda Francis on Beverly Hills? We all know that some of the best in reality TV, they Google each other. They just want to know who that person is. So when Ciara said, I'm bringing my friend Mia, could that person not have just quickly, done a quick Google search and seen, because I feel like when they're, okay, let me finish my thought. Could they have not Googled and just seen who was coming to see them? Because I feel like when these mediums talk to these people, they kind of bring out really major points that like everybody already knows. Maybe that's just me looking for the worst in these type of situations because it's still hard for me to believe. Like I don't really fully open up to stuff like that. And not that I wouldn't. I mean, if I've had something traumatic happen to me where I've lost somebody, I would definitely go and see, I haven't had the urge to quite yet, but I would love to see, and I would love to get signs. And, my dog passed away in 2017. I'm always like, I just hope that he could send me a sign or come in my dreams, and he doesn't, but I would love that. The point I'm trying to make is I can see how when you're really vulnerable and you just really just want something to just confirm your thoughts and beliefs, that's a good way to go. But there's something at the back of my mind that's just like, is this real? Like, could this be for real or could this be for fake? Right. Anyways, it was a great scene. It was emotional. These vulnerable scenes, I hate grief, but they're really nice to see because it really brings out a different character, a side of the character of the person that we're seeing, Wes invites his friends to a dog adoption event. That's nice. I love dogs. Babysitting one right now that I've been babysitting for 4 years, and I have my own dog. Hopefully they don't bark through this podcast. Kyle and Amanda show up, and Amanda confronts West. West has been such a good friend to Amanda, and we can see, and I think that this is all, people are calling it Easter eggs when we're watching the show, but it's really just West being a good friend to Amanda. They got close. That's fine. I'm trying to look at it from not knowing what I know hindsight. It's okay for a guy and girl to be friends. How many other shows have the guys and girls been friends? You know, aside from, and I hate bringing this constantly up, Scandal, many guys and girls are friends during shows, and their friends hang out with these person's friends, and you know, honestly, unless it's like the Real Housewives of Atlanta or Potomac, where I think cultural differences, like I know if it was Persians, like that wouldn't happen, but people hang out. That's just, I think it's just sometimes in the, again, North American culture, and by North American I mean Canadian and US, it depends on the ethnicity of the people, because like I find like with white people it's okay if like girlfriends and boyfriends all hang out together. They're a big group of friends, not individually but just together, you know, which is what I've heard and seen has happened with Amanda and West and Kyle. But like a culture like Persian culture, no way. You cannot hang out with someone's husband, even if it's just a bunch of friends. And they do, though. There's big groups of friends, but not just like, you know, it's interesting. It's just something that I thought I would point out. Anyways, West has been such a good friend to Amanda, and defending her from the disrespect that Kyle shows her, she feels like she's put in the middle when he directly disrespects Ciara. And I agree with this point. Again, I'm pretending that I don't see hindsight. I don't know what's happened right now. We're just looking at the show. But let's just say there's another part of us that sees the hindsight. It's interesting that you feel put in the middle when he directly disrespects Ciara, but when it was disrespecting Ciara with you didn't feel like you were in the middle no more, did you? So yeah, like I've got a devil on one shoulder and a bigger devil on the other, because I'm looking at her through one eye that doesn't know what's going on, and then another eye that knows exactly what's going on. I don't call these Easter eggs, though. I don't think that they were doing anything. I don't think it meant anything beyond what it actually shows us on TV. Anyways, it's the second to last weekend, and Amanda is not showing up. She's not feeling well. She's, you know, got some mental health struggles, and that's fine. But there's literally 7 boys and 3 girls in the Hamptons at the summer house. And how sad for the girls, because I know how boys can be. Right in the middle of Ciara FaceTiming with Amanda, West comes in to apologize, and it was awkward, but after Ciara got off the phone, she realizes that this is going to go around in circles, and she needs to put a stop to it. Of course, Ciara always has to be the bigger person, so she goes to West's room and was like, let's do coffee in the AM and obviously chat before they go on their little boat cruise. Now, I meant that sarcastically. It's like, can anybody just for once be the bigger person? I feel like Ciara is always the one that's extending her hand out. But then again, that just shows that what type of person she is. She's a mature person. So that's why, back to what I was saying at the beginning, the whole like, okay, well, she did this to Ciara, so now Ciara fans, we can go after Amanda. It just doesn't fit Ciara's character, you know? And as much as Ciara is dealing with it herself, she's definitely not threatening them. She's just using her words. Like even with the audio leaks that we had from the reunion, she's putting them in their place. And I think that's what needs to happen. But the whole bullying online is it's just crazy for me. Anyways, Wes was excited. Like he was so excited to do that he ran and told Jesse, who was in the shower. And again, see, I'm not trying to look at this in hindsight, but looking at it now, it's so obvious he was genuinely attempting to fix his friendship with Ciara. Fix something with Ciara. The only difference is that he no longer has romantic feelings for her, whereas she does. This is where the waters get murky. Okay? So the next day, they do go for their coffee in the AM, and Ciara admits to Wes that she's afraid to let her guard down. Because the moment she did, West made out with a girl right next to her. And the only reason that you would feel this way is if you still have feelings. Now, at the end of the conversation, they hug, they cry. Ciara told Wes she misses him and just wants to be best friends again. And when asked by Mia, how did the conversation go? She just tells me, I think he's my person. And that, when she says that, that makes me feel bad. Now, I just want to go back. In the conversation with Wes, she did say, I want to be best friends again. But I think this is where, and you know, sometimes it is corny to discuss this, but their idea of best friends might be different. Because she's going in thinking like, he's my person. And he's going in like, yes, I have my best friend again. But like, I'm still able to flirt with people. Now, Amanda calls and she's upset that West's best night of his life is when Amanda isn't there. So, maybe as friends, it makes sense. Like, she wasn't part of the equation. I'm going to look at it that way. This whole time, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt because trust me, you guys, Amanda has put herself in such a deep hole with all her actions. Even I couldn't help her out, So I'm just going to give her this benefit of the doubt. It's the best weekend and she's the only missing person. Ciara was there, her friend at that time. Kyle was there, her husband, her best friends are there, people that she's been spending summers with for the past 10 years. But she wasn't. I can get how you get a bit of FOMO. You're like, great. I don't think it had anything to do with West in particular. I think it had to do with like one of their good friends is saying that he had one of the best weekends of their life and she has FOMO. She wasn't there. I get it. This is the weird part. Kyle also says that he's having a great weekend with Amanda because when he's himself, she doesn't like him. This is a big issue. And then he says that he doesn't want to talk about Amanda anymore. And no offense, but it seems like the problem here is Amanda. Not that she does it on purpose. It just seems like this is the common denominator. And one thing that I do notice about Amanda, and this could be just from the years of having to deal with Kyle and she's just not unhappy, she is a kind of a sourpuss. Like when she shows up, she kind of has this attitude. She's kind of like really, she does go out. This is the first time in years I've seen her go out and party. When Paige was there, for sure they would never go. But, her and Ciara have been going out a lot more. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, she is experiencing a shitty time, like I just mentioned. Almost marriage-ending time with her husband. One can argue, though, that Amanda has been like this every weekend. Just kind of like, a downer. A Debbie Downer, as they say with, I'm a millennial, so we call them Debbie Downers. Anyway, Ciara was talking to Sabrina on FaceTime. That's so weird. That friendship is just so weird. It just happened so quick. I feel like we didn't really see the evolution of it. And Ben had told Sabrina, and Sabrina told Ciara that Wes had a crush on her. So talk about mixed signals. This is what I'm saying. There's just so many mixed signals here. I wish that in the conversation where they kind of hugged it out and they had gone out in the morning before kind of meeting up with everybody else, that they had discussed exactly what's going on. But is that too corny? Or risk getting hurt again all over because you don't understand where exactly you are with that person, We're friends, but at least let's just put it on Wes. Wes could have been like, look, I see you as a friend. I want us to be friends. I don't know if I can, I don't really want a relationship with anybody. But I love you and we have been together before and I want that friendship back. Something like that. And then Ciara could have been like, okay, cool, like, yeah, I did have feelings, but, having you as a friend is better than not having you in my life at all. Or Ciara could have been like, well, you know what? I still kind of have feelings, so that's going to be a little bit hard for me, but let's be cordial. Let's just have a fun summer, and let's just see, like, how our friendship evolves back, If it's going to be too hard for me, then I'm going to kind of, like, back off. And if I'm able to manage and my feelings dissipate, then we can go into a very blooming friendship. And I see it happen a lot of times, but usually it does take time. I'm really good friends with a lot of my exes. I've had 3 major boyfriends in my life, and 2 out of the 3 of them I'm pretty good friends with. We can talk and there's just nothing there. I don't know on their end, but on my end. And they call me for advice and they call me to see how I'm doing. And they always check up on me. So I think it's possible, but it takes time. It doesn't, if this was right when we had broken up, I was heartbroken. I was a wreck. I'm starting to see now, though. This is what I'm starting to see. So I'm going to be honest that Amanda has started forming an emotional attraction to Wes because she only responded to a group chat when Wes said that it was the best night of his life. And that's when she was offended by it. But Kyle's been texting her all weekend and she wasn't responding. I get it. You're mad at him, but like you guys are also married. Like the silent treatment is also a form of emotional abuse. So perhaps Kyle has been emotionally abusing you as well, verbally abusing you, as we see in the later episode, constantly telling you to fuck off. But also, like, this is also a form of emotional abuse, by just not responding to his calls, at least acknowledging. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Like, you wanted him to communicate more, and at least he's communicating to the best that he can or he knows how. At least acknowledge that so that he feels, like, okay, so this is a step in the right direction. Maybe if I continue doing this, things might not necessarily become 100%, but it will be a lot better than where it is now. I feel like Amanda kind of wanted this to deteriorate. She didn't really want to work on it at all. She kind of, as people say, and I believe it now, completely checked out. Carl is doing his soft bar launch. Andrea and Lexi show up, and Andrea was on seasons before. He was almost about to date Paige before Paige ended up with Craig. But he's married now to Lexi, who was part of his life at that point as well. We just never saw her. Luke showed up. Lindsay showed up, and she brought Carl a teddy bear. It's cute. Like, they're starting to kind of get over their rift that they had in the past. Lindsay really, though, is desperately trying to activate Carl, but Carl is in such a better place than Lindsay in terms of like their relationship. I don't think it bothers him one bit. Actually, I can tell that it doesn't bother him one bit. It literally just goes over his head. Whatever digs that she's trying to do, he just doesn't let it affect him. He has so much more to think about and worry about and to focus on. But you can tell that Lindsay is still living in a little bit of resentment. She's still got it in her. Like, she's still not over how their almost marriage went down. And when they say that actions speak louder than words, actions speak louder than words. I think Carl is the perfect example of it. I mean, she's still upset about the text that Carl's mom sent from 3 years ago. Okay. Lindsay is definitely not over losing Carl. And it shows that in all of her backhanded comments and how she's acting towards Carl's mom, that she's still showing herself as being bothered. And I feel that kind of sucks for her. Like, she has so much good stuff going on. She got a baby. She's independent single mom. Like, that's so much better, than have been stuck in something that they both probably at this point would have been 10 times more miserable in. Carl was already miserable at that point, that they didn't even go through with the marriage. She was constantly yelling at him. Like, it was just so toxic to watch, even as viewers. We were like, how is this going to get any better once the wedding happens? If Lindsay really lets go of these things, and I understand it needs to happen on her own terms, her own timeline, I think she's going to be much more attractive by like just her energy and a lot more happier. I'm just waiting for that to happen, because Lindsay, as much as I sometimes do not really like her, she does bring a lot to the show. She's a person that can move storylines along. Again, she's an independent freaking woman, and a single mom. I love that, because I am as well. And I like when people can be unbothered. And I know that she acts like she's unbothered, but again, actions speak louder than words. Everything's showing that she's still sort of bothered. Anyways, Danielle shows up, and her new boyfriend. This is like a soft launch, and no pun intended, of the In the City that we're going to be getting soon, which is the new show of them, but in the city. So I thought that was kind of cool. Thought I should throw that in there. Anyways, Amanda is shocked that West and Ciara are going for drinks with Sabrina and Ben. Because she finds out at the soft bar launch that they're all going to go out for drinks. I think Jesse told her that he was also invited by Sabrina. See, okay, so let's go back to that. See what I'm saying? See how Sabrina talks to Jesse, and that's totally okay with Ben? Guys and girls can be friends. That's okay. I don't want to say the scandal again. I brought it up, but like, because we know how that ended. But like, guys and girls can be friends, Like, for example, Sabrina messages Jesse. Sabrina's the one that invited Jesse to come out for drinks with Sabrina and Ben and West and Ciara. So I don't find it so weird that West and Amanda were friends, close friends, because, I mean, think about it. Even Ben and Amanda and Kyle were all good friends. Like, when it's a big group of people and like there's a husband and wife or there's a partner, it happens, It just got murky later. But anyways, I'll leave it there. Ciara might be taking this the wrong way, and let's just say, in a way that West isn't at all. I think that West thinks that they're strictly best friends. Ciara thinks that they're rekindling something. Now, with what we know now and in hindsight, it is kind of weird that Amanda cares so much. It is kind of weird, yes, because of what we know now. Had we not known what we know now, it would have just been like Ciara's letting her guard down again. After just getting West back in her life, maybe she should like pump the brakes just a little bit. But again, if they're just going out as friends, I see nothing wrong with that either. I mean, frick, Jesse's going to be there. It's going to be like, is it going to be two couples, or is it going to be Ben and Sabrina with a bunch of friends, She said that her friendship with West grew this summer, but you're friends with Ciara. So give them both the same kind of energy. Look out for them both. She claims to know how West moves, but she should also be concerned with how Ciara moves if she's a really good friend. And she's known Ciara a lot longer. And I know that she probably is in her mind thinking that, no, I'm caring for Ciara more. Like, because I know how West is. But also, if you're caring for Ciara more, focus on Ciara a little bit more instead of trying to like control what West does and be like, Ciara, look, I think that you're moving a little bit too fast, blah, blah. Go to West, be like, West, what are you doing? You know, have the conversations with both of them. Sometimes it feels like it's just really one-sided. Like she's telling Ciara, yeah, fuck him. Like he should be able to. And then with West, she's like, you gotta calm down. Like you break her heart. Like, wait, what? Break her heart? But they're friends, I thought, you know? Anyways, it's confusing for me too at this point. We get to episode 14. They're doing water fights thanks to Ciara, who's dressed up as the Lorax, and she created this kind of like, let's have fun. I that part of her, like that kind of like energy that she is always willing to dress up and kind of like go above and beyond and really get into character for things, I admire, because that's not me at all. I'd be like so unbothered. I'd be like, don't spray me. It's National Beach Day, so Carl decides we're all gonna head out to the beach. What part I did want to say is that when Amanda showed up, she was just sourpuss again. It's like, geez, Amanda, like, can you just not be such a sourpuss for once, you know? In the car with West, Ciara, Jesse, Mia, and Ben and Lindsay, West says that Amanda walked in complaining. Like, he's the one that brought it up. She's like, she just walked in and she was complaining right away. And she did. She kind of dampens the mood. And no wonder they all had fun the weekend before. And I guess she's in a tough spot. Like, I'm not trying to be one to put someone down. I'm just saying from what I observe. I'm trying to look at it without knowing the information that I know now, but it sucks that she's always in this crap mood because it's starting to affect other people around her. At the beach, Amanda says a comment like she would die for Ciara and how she would cut West off with one look from Ciara. And honestly, that did not age well because I see a lot of people online referencing that. Anyways, they had the fun at the beach. They did their thing. You know, it's the beach, the infamous beach, the beach that everyone breaks up at or has these hard conversations at. Then Lindsay is having her second annual Freedom Dinner. The first one was when it was a year after her and Carl broke up, and a year later she was free from him. And she says, Carl, so thank you. By the way, I've been watching The Walking Dead, so when I hear Carl, I want to say it like lyric, like Carl. If you watch The Walking Dead, you'll understand that reference. Anyways, she starts off this year, and she says that she lost her timelines but found her dream girl. For Carl, she says, Carl lost me, but found a bunch of thirsty girls in his DMs. Honestly, poor Carl. Like, why can't he just say his own tagline? I don't get why he got lured in by freaking Lindsay. Why Lindsay had to say it for him. I'm telling you guys, like, it's showing like I'm still like holding on to a whole bunch of resentment. Although I laughed, poor Carl. Lindsay really needs to just let it go. Now, Westling, he says he missed a friendship but gained it back this year. So he found his voice but also gained his friendship back. And then Lindsay speaks for Kyle and says Kyle lost his wedding ring but found his DJ career. And everyone's like, oh God, Lindsay, like, okay, that's just, you know, it's pulling on some strings that are sensitive. Now, I don't always like Lindsay. Like I like a lot of other Bravo celebrities. But when it comes to like this girl ain't lying. This is what I'm saying. Like, I just wish she would let go of the Carl thing because it would just make her so much more like of a boss bitch. Not that she already isn't, I'm sure, to some of you. But like, damn, girl, like this had me crackling. And she's not lying. The one part I admire about her is that she can call out stuff and not care about who it hurts. And sometimes you need that in these shows. You know, you need that person. I've been posting clips of Beverly Hills and it has Garcelle and Sutton in it and they say things. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes you need those people that will say things that not everyone wants to say. She doesn't. Now, Lindsay doesn't sugarcoat it, okay, at all. And Amanda announces under her breath that Kyle is also taking on a residency. And Lindsay asks if he's had a conversation with Amanda beforehand taking this residency. Now, good question. Because Kyle tends to talk to and usually down to Amanda. He never asks her what her opinion is or what she thinks. Never asks for her opinion. Hey, babe, I want to do this. What do you think? They're in a marriage. And that's what Lindsay was trying to point out. Guys, you guys are married. You have to talk about these things. Okay? Amanda's getting a lot of flack because online, where I'm hearing the flack where it's coming from, where you're watching the show, you can see her kind of like give like a face. And people are like, her face is rage baiting Kyle. Listen, sometimes when I kind of want to throw jokes or tell people something that they haven't told anybody and I kind of like bring it up in a conversation, I kind of make faces to kind of be like, yeah, I'm kind of like in a joking kind of like, you know, I'm kind of bringing, I don't think it was rage baiting him at all. You know, it's just like, okay, like she's bringing it up because she knows and he wasn't going to talk about it, you know? She's kind of like making the face to take the stress off of her casually bringing it up in this conversation. Because he says that he was going to have a conversation with Amanda about it tomorrow. What the hell? But she already knows about it. The conversation should have already been had. Lindsay says that Amanda wants to have a kid, but she can't have it with someone that that also doesn't want to have kids. And this was said at the last year's reunion, so she brings it up. No matter what we know in hindsight, Amanda doesn't deserve to be treated this way. The way that Kyle's kind of gaslighting her in this conversation, pretending that her opinion doesn't matter, he's going to do it anyways. Why would Amanda anyways want kids with somebody who's never at home? Or doesn't appear that they want kids? Kyle flips it and puts it on Amanda. He's like, Amanda is not the one that wants kids. Because Amanda doesn't want kids with you, Kyle, because you don't seem like you're ready to settle down. Okay? Then he tells her, fuck you. Like, out of nowhere. She's not the one asking the questions. She's the one that brought up the residency because she's not blind and stupid. She knows what's going on. She knows the conversations that are had at home. You live with the girl and you don't even tell her directly to her face. Like, she wasn't doing anything. She might have been making faces, but she's uncomfortable. Some people laugh when they're uncomfortable. Some people make faces when they're uncomfortable. Like, I don't understand where the fuck you came from. Another fuck you that was totally uncalled for. And finally, someone from the outside is speaking on how it looks from the outside. And it was Lindsay who brought it up. But he won't ever say fuck you to Lindsay. So he takes it always out on Amanda. Now, yes, this is another thing. We see Wes go and sit down next to Amanda. Of course he's going to go sit down Amanda. Kyle was acting fucking crazy. Of course he's going to go. Kyle looked like he was going to punch somebody out. And he's the closest to Kyle and Amanda, aside from Carl. And Kyle is acting aggressive. Like, you see later that he throws a drink at Carl, who's his best friend. I'm sure being there in the moment, because from the screen I could see, but you can tell his energy was completely off. And to be honest, it's a big fucking scary. And maybe this is why Amanda doesn't bring up things to him when they're alone. Because this energy he has when he's defensive of his DJing career is unlike anything that I've ever seen out of Kyle before. And it's scary, and I don't know if it's a mixture of alcohol or not, especially if he's always drinking. I wouldn't want to set him off either. And I don't care what is happening to Amanda in real life, real time. As a viewer, I'm watching Summer House, which was filmed in the summer, and she did not deserve that. And I, too, would be scared of Kyle's reaction. It was nice for West and Carl to step in, because you saw Carl, right at the time that he said, fuck you, West went all the way around and sat next to Amanda, just in case. Because I could feel the energy seeping through the screen when I'm watching it. And Carl stood up and said, yo, man, calm down. Even the chef in the background kind of stops what he's doing. And he's like looking around like, should I stop? Like, should I jump in? Am I going to have to stop a fight? It was nice for them to step in. And Jesse and everybody else stayed quiet and out of it. Because I feel like it was scary, but it wasn't their place either. They're not as close to them. Whereas I feel like West and Carl, they both stood up because they are friends with them, and that energy was scary. Even Lindsay you could see it on Lindsay's face. So the whole thing, we're like, yeah, Wes went to go protect Amanda. Well, of course he did. She's a woman in the house, and it was a threatening moment. It has nothing to do with their little emotional affair. It has to do with threats. If it was Ciara, he would have done the same. If it was Bailey or Levi or even Lindsay, he would have done the same, you know? And I feel like that's another part of the reason that he went there. It's because he could be beside Lindsay and he could be beside Amanda, because you could just, like, I've been watching Summer House since the beginning, and I've never seen Kyle Cook that upset. Like, he went from 0 to a fucking 100 in like 10 seconds. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I saw a lot of backlash with that online as well. I just think that, you know, sometimes when you're in the moment, you can pick up on things and energies. And it's nice that there's friends there that are willing to step in when something kind of like that fell off. And people are like, oh, you think that Kyle would have really touched Amanda? Well, you never fucking know. Everybody that's been a victim of domestic violence, they never thought that they'd be touched until they were. So you just never fucking know. Interesting to see how next week plays out. It ends with a fight. It ends with Kyle storming off. And that's what I'm saying. He went from 0 to 100 really fucking quick. Production steps in. They're fighting each other. So imagine if that's this next scene after when Wes went and stood on one side of Amanda and Carl stood up against Kyle. Just imagine how intense it would have been if you were actually there, to a point that nobody else was looking at Kyle. People were actually moving away from him. That's how intense the energy was. I could feel it as a viewer as well. So anyways, I will leave it there. Summer House is heating up. Can't wait for the reunion. The reunion will start, and then also in the city will premiere, so that's exciting to see. And they are going to cover the fallout with Amanda and Wes. I believe they picked up and they just filmed for that. They'll probably play it at the beginning and be like 6 months ago or something, something like that. But excited to see. Pursuers, thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Find me on my socials. All the information is in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here every week. I love the breakdown. I love the analyses. DM me, let me know what you think, and we will see you next episode. Have a good one.